Hey, welcome up there, college baseball fans. Welcome to Chasing Omaha, where apparently I'm often imitated, but you can't never duplicate this right here. This is the original Chasing Omaha. And look, we ain't here to try to hype, but we just trying to figure out who's actually built for June. And this weekend is, to me, is one of the biggest SEC series you're going to see all season. You got number 5 or number 4, according to which polls you look at, Georgia, one of the hottest teams in the country right now, rolling into Fayetteville, and they swinging. Dude, they're just yoking that ball like nobody cares. They scare you. They scare me when they see that pitcher the 4th time around. And on the other side, you got Arkansas, fresh off of a statement sweep, a pop in the mouth at Alabama, and we're coming home to Baum Walker, where things just tend to get real uncomfortable. But I'm gonna be honest with y'all, people. I'm not sure who it's going to be uncomfortable for. And so this just ain't another series. This is a measuring stick to see who's ready for Omaha and see these regionals start lining up. And we're going to break this matchup and the pressure point, what's going to decide the things late in this game. And for that to happen, man, I brought in my guy Kyle Sutherland from Hog Beat, covers Arkansas as well as anybody in the business. He's plugged in this program. He knows the rosters. There ain't a whole lot he don't know. And then I threw on the fly my guy Chris Pugh, who's normally the producer. He already does 2 podcasts, Sweet Tea in the SEC and We Talk Ball. You know what? Literally, guys, 15 seconds before we went live, I was like, hey, guess what? You're a guest. And so you know what? The guy behind the scenes you don't normally see, Chris Pugh, welcome everybody. Guys, thank y'all for being on the show, man.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like a little bit of a moderator. You got Arkansas on one side, you got Georgia on the other. So I feel like not only guest hosting, but moderating as well. So, hey, I'll pull double duty.
Well, I did this because he got his shirt over there. It says Georgia Bulldog over there feeding the trees and stuff. But look, let's first up before we get started, I do want to say something. You know what? Hats off to TJ Pompey. SEC Player of the Week. Man, I've been waiting for this kid, this transfer from Texas Tech, to break out, and he did this last week. I think a lot of people have been waiting on that kid, and that gives me a little bit of confidence seeing him hit the ball. He has been struggling, and I think the last time we were on the show, Kyle, you even said they even took him to the eye doctor.
Yeah,
they actually had him checked out. So congratulations, Poppy. He went 7 for 16, 2 home runs. He had a double, 5 runs and 6 RBIs during the Razorbacks 4-0 week against Little Rock and number 9 Alabama at the time. So congratulations there. Now with that getting started, man, Kyle? I'm gonna ask you how do we take this? Is this how is this? Georgia can hit with anybody. I'll be honest with you, I'm scared. I'm nervous. And I know my guy Chris over there, he's like, dude, if we just win one, I'll be happy. And I'm like, dude, to me, Georgia's a legit national contender right now.
Oh, there's no question. Yeah, there's no question about it. And of course, last week Georgia's got what is it, Chris? 100? Is it exactly 100?
It's exactly 100.
You got 6 guys that have hit home runs. I mean, you just go down the lineup. It's just incredibly dangerous. And that's the thing too, is Wes Johnson, he's known as a pitching guy. He's been a pitching coach at the majors. He's been a pitching coach at LSU, been a pitching coach at Arkansas. So that's what his background is. But since he's been at Georgia, I mean, they're just knocking them all over the place. Speaking of the feed the trees, and I look at Arkansas's pitching staff, and obviously last weekend when they made the tweaks and they changed the weekend rotation for the first time all season, you saw some really good things. I think Hunter Dietz there's no question he's the Friday night guy. He's got the best stuff. You've got other guys, like particularly in the bullpen, like a Jackson Kircher, guys like that, who have great stuff, but just quite haven't figured it out yet. And I know we're talking about, I was initially referring to starters, but you think about Dietz, and he's got some of the best stuff on the team. You knew that he was just going to have to throw some innings this year because he hadn't thrown a lot of college innings due to injury. But then you look at what Tate McGuire did on Sunday, and then what Cole Gibbler did on Saturday. And those guys were not spectacular, but they did just enough, and the defense did enough behind them to where they were able to get it done. And then the offense got the timely hits. Other than the 8th inning, in all 3 games, really, particularly the first and the second, and then the 8th inning in game 2 when they put up 5. I think they put 5 in the 8th and 9th each in game 2. but the offense wasn't spectacular either. So, but they just did enough exactly what they were supposed to do in the right moments. And that's probably the most comforting thing when you look at this Razorback team, when how bad they've been throughout the year, and then to have 3 comeback victories on the road against a top 10 team. I don't know that I'm quite ready to say, I don't know that it's like a flash in the pan, but I'm not quite ready to say that they've turned the corner yet. But when you look at other teams around the SEC, like a Tennessee, LSU, teams that have under, I know Tennessee's a special case with Vitello leaving as late as he did, but
Right.
like LSU, for instance, who just has their bullpens a disaster. So I think, you're on a 5-game winning streak is Arkansas. So you're going to have a pissed off Georgia team either way coming into Fayetteville, but is it going to be a pissed off Georgia team that rebounds, or is it going to be a pissed off Georgia team that beats itself? Or I shouldn't say necessarily beats itself, but lets last week beat them too, because they just haven't rebounded from, because they're not used to weekends like that. So, but back to your original point, Wes Johnson has done a phenomenal job there at Georgia. This is an incredible team. They've shown it all season. Last weekend, you just don't ever know what's going to happen. You don't know what Florida team you're going to see, as Arkansas found out. So, it's something's got to give here. And as you said, it's really getting down to that point now to really fighting for regionals. Arkansas helped their RPI in a big way last week, and are going to try to improve that even more this weekend against the Dogs.
Right. And you know what? And Chris, I know I put Chris on the spot, and I did on purpose. But look, I was going through stats, and look, Georgia's got someone in the top 10, top 7 on every stat, with the exception of strikeouts, doubles, and triples. Batting average, 1 and 2. Trey Phelps, 393. Daniel Jackson, 384. That's ranked 1 and 2 batting average. Slugging percentage, Jackson is there again. Phelps is there again. Hudson's there again. On base percentage. It just goes on and on and on. Like this team, I mean, if God made a team that said, you know what, this team, I designed you on the 5th day to hit, it's this team right here. Chris, I'm going to ask you where, and I know this is a tough question, because you're like, if we just win one, I'll be all right. But where do you find confidence in this team at right now? What makes you feel comfortable, if you had to come into Fayetteville and then walk away with the series win?
I think it's, well, as you mentioned, the hitting, the ability to just at any moment. I've watched almost every series, especially since the SEC play, and there's been times where they're down 4-0 or 3-0 or something, or 5-0 or whatever, and it's like, you never feel like you're out of it, because at any moment it could happen. It's gonna happen. Like, they're gonna hit. But I would also point to the most amazing thing from this season, and I think all 3 of us know how extremely hard it is to win on the road. Georgia at the moment is 5-1 on the road, and that's with series wins against Texas A&M and Mississippi State, which I know Mississippi State's, I think it's got swept twice now, but the A&M just beat Texas. That's kind of what gives me a little bit of confidence. If you took away the hitting, is the so far at least, they've been actually a better road team.
Yeah, I agree.
That's a good point too, because you think about right now, Arkansas is 15-8 at home, and they are, for the past, really since COVID, it seems like they've been almost unbeatable at home. Last year, I think they lost 4 games total, and they've already lost 8. So Baum Walker I'm not going to say that it doesn't have quite the advantage. I'm not going to say it doesn't have the advantage, but maybe not from what we've seen in previous years. So that's something to watch too.
It does feel like that. You get a team in Baum Walker, you felt like you had them on the ropes, and now you don't. I don't. I mean, this Georgia team scares me. I've been telling Chris from when I saw them at the Texas A&M, I'm like, dude, y'all are legitimately a national title team. Like, y'all could take this. And he's like, I don't know.
Y'all getting me way too high.
So
I came into this just okay with just one. I'll be all right. We're not like, so Arkansas, y'all have a rich baseball history. And I know Georgia had, that thing, I think it was 98 or whatever when they won it. But we've been down for a while, and I think I speak for most Georgia fans that we're just like we just want to be, like I'm tickled to death if we just make it to Omaha, and then I can be fine forever. And I know Arkansas fans, they're probably itching for national championship or bust. Yeah. So that's kind of my going into this before the season. This is the one I did circle though as the one I wanted to. And I know this is kind of probably a stupid fan thing, but I was like, if we win the series against Arkansas, that's when I'm going to be like, oh yeah, we're going to win this damn thing.
Right. So Kyle, let me ask you this: is Arkansas better than their ranking after this Alabama, or are they about where you think they should be here, or the bats finally waking up? Or is that what's happening here? I mean, unlike Georgia's, but I swear they see ball, they hit ball, and like you said, it's confusing because Wes Johnson is a pitching guy. Like some of our best pitchers was under his tutelage at Arkansas, So what do you think?
I think they are. I mean, so you look at like Camden Kozel, he struggled in SEC play. Like you think about him and Reese Robinette and Zach Stewart, like those guys have struggled overall in SEC play. They're all those guys and also Micah New are hitting under 200 in SEC play. But then you look at guys like Nolan Souza, TJ Pompey. TJ, his numbers have been light years. I mean, he was just awful in non-conference play for the most part.
Right.
And then has just really picked it up. His strikeout rate is still a little over 40%, but that's because he was just so bad early on. But right now, I mean, he's slashing 333, 366, 744. Right. So, and then, like you said, had that SEC player of the week. Damian Ruiz has obviously been a jolt back. And if Kahio Aloy can get it going, if Kahio Aloy can be a fraction of what he is against, like in midweek games, basically, he had 3 for 4, I think it was against, I know UAPB is not good, but if he can just really start to see it a little bit better, have better at bats, have a better 2-strike approach, like we have seen at times, then that's going to be a big deal too. Obviously, Ryder Helfrich is Ryder Helfrich, but to answer your question, I mean, he's been the guy that we expected him to be, probably the best catcher in the entire country. And then you look at the mound, and like I mentioned the guys that started last weekend, but the way that Ethan McIlvain's pitching and guys like that, you'd like to see obviously a good bit more out of Gabe Gackle. I'm not sure what you thought him coming out of the pen. I said on my message board all week last week, I'm like, if Gackle comes out of the pen, that's just going to give the pitching staff such a boost, because even if somebody like you would expect him to come in for 100 each, just because like being the Friday night guy, and then of course Gackle previously pitching as the starter on Friday night. I'm like, man, even if things go wrong with Dietz, if he has to come in even in like the 4th inning or something, coming out of the pen, he has proven to be one of the nation's best relievers. So I think that it's kind of a long-winded way of answering your question, that I do think that, yes, they are better than right now. They're 16th, I know, at least per D1 baseball.
In D1, you're right.
Yeah, and I think, at their best, definite top 10, top 15 team, no question. Now, I will say, after the Auburn series, I think that mainly they just got ranked based on reputation, just what they've done throughout the years and what DVH has proven. I mean, haven't won less than 18 SEC games since that dreaded 2016 season. So yeah, without question, they are better than their ranking when they play like they do it. Even though that they didn't look good in some areas at Alabama, they still found a way. They got after Alabama's bullpen in particular. So I think when they do play at their best, without question, a top 10, 15 team.
So let me ask you this, so Georgia, they're kind of their identity. They'll hit you, then they're going to hit you again. And then the next thing you know, you're looking at a 3-run bomb and like feed the trees, as my guy over there likes to say over there, Chris, without elite pitching, do you think that the hitting's going to be enough here with that? And then after he answers that, Kyle, with the physical baseball, the late innings, you kind of answered already with home field advantage at Baum. It's kind of not there the way it used to be in the past. How do you think this plays out for Arkansas? But first, Chris, how do you feel about your pitching right now for Georgia?
It's like an emotional roller coaster. It is better than it's like y'all mentioned. It's real funny. Like you said, that's Wes Johnson's expertise is pitching. And that's kind of been the problem in Athens the last 3 years he's been there, is the pitching. The hitting's been phenomenal every year he's been there. and it's really weird. This year, it is better this year than it was last year. There are stretches where it's good, and there's stretches where it's really bad. We don't really have a Sunday. A Sunday guy is not. Sundays end up usually pretty bad for us on the Sundays. I think the pitching is what. I think that's why we'll ultimately lose the series. I don't feel confident enough. I do think it's better than it was last year. It is getting better and better. I just don't think it's quite there yet. But that to me would be the reason why we lose, because there are stretches in the hitting where we do kind of, I think it was the Florida series. We went 4 or 5 innings where we didn't hit nothing. I mean, there was no hits. There was nothing, and Florida was able to just keep that big lead.
Right. And Kyle, with that being said, can Arkansas survive Georgia's lineup for 9 innings? And then if Georgia gets into Arkansas's for their bullpen early, is it over in your opinion? What's your take on that?
Well, I think you could have a lot, or not a lot. I think you could at least have maybe one of these games be similar to how Game 2 was against Alabama when Arkansas played. It was 15 runs, I guess. So I could see at least one of these being a slugfest. I mean, on Tuesday night, Georgia was in a slug. Was it 12-10 against East Tennessee? I think it was East Tennessee they played in their midweek. So it could be a slugfest. But I think the one thing right now that I take out of last week, Dave Van Horn, prior to last week's the midweek game against Little Rock, he had talked about how it just seemed like forever that Arkansas had gotten that big hit, and I think it was in the 5th inning of that game that Reese Robinette got that double, right, and then they scored all those runs and everything. And then in the Alabama series, that's when you saw what I was saying a second ago. You just saw that, like, no matter what Alabama threw at them, they kept coming back and having the 3. I can't stress enough how important those 3 comeback victories were. I mean, to do it once, to do it twice, that's good enough. But to do it 3 times, especially when you'd had the struggles that Arkansas had, that's what gives me a lot of hope, at least right now. Now, will that matter in a few weeks? I don't know. All you can really worry about is the right now. But the fact that Arkansas took care of business, you would expect them to against a team, UAPB is let's call it what it is. They're not very good. So the fact that they handled their business and didn't have a letdown too. It'd be easy to have, like, maybe not a letdown loss against UAPB, but not look very good. And Arkansas just looked about as good as ever, ruled them in 7 innings, took care of business, got back on the bus to go to Fayetteville. So I think right now the biggest thing that I feel like is Arkansas knows they got a little bit better feel now. They're also a lot healthier. You don't have the sickness rolling around. You got Damian Ruiz back. You don't really have anybody, I guess, other than oh gosh, what's the pitcher? Carson Wiggins. That's like your injury right now. And he hasn't pitched all year. Might pitch some next month. DVH has talked about that. But for the most part, you're pretty healthy. Zach Stewart, I know he hasn't played very well, particularly at the plate, but it seems like that groin injury is a lot better now. So that's the thing too, is you're really in the back half of the season now, and you're mostly healthy, and you got guys that seem to have figured it out, and they're really meshing together.
Gotcha.
Yeah, Pops, can I add something real quick too
Absolutely.
On the pitch? I should have mentioned this. It just dawned on me while Kyle was talking, but just to kind of show my confidence in the pitching is, like, there was that one game. I think it was Mississippi State, or maybe in Texas A&M. I can't remember. But we were winning like 10-2, and I turned it off. I was like, it's over. It's done. 10-2. Bats were popping. Pitching was doing good. Turn it off, walk away. I get a text says, "Y'all really about to lose this?" And next thing you know, it was 10-9. It was like 10-9, and that's kind of been the story for Georgia with pitching. Like, like I said, I think it was top of the show. It's an emotional roller coaster watching Georgia games.
Well, see, that leads me right in. So with the pitching, do you trust Arkansas's bullpen more than you do Georgia's pitching? Kyle, how, either one of you, your answer on that, which one? Because I'm not trustful of Arkansas just yet.
I'm not quite. I thought the bullpen did pretty obviously a pretty decent job last weekend. I love what we're seeing from McIlvain. McIlvain's gotten himself in some tough situations, but it seems that he can get out of them. What are you going to get from, like, a Parker? Coyle's a little bit up and down. So it has been pretty inconsistent. It's definitely fair to say that. What are you going to get from Mark Brissy? Like he's got what I was saying a second ago. Brissy and Kircher both have great. Brissy seems like he's got it a little bit maybe more figured out than Kircher does right now. But there's still, especially against a lineup like Georgia, there's still some liabilities in the pen. There's no question.
Right.
I also feel like our bullpen has done better than our starting pitchers. For the Florida game, for example, our starting pitcher, I think he allowed it was 6 runs in 1 inning, and then we kept him scoreless. Our bullpen all the way, I think it was 5 innings. There was a 5-inning stretch, and it feels like all season. Just watch it. I don't have any stats to back it up, but it feels like all season our bullpen has been amazing. It was just, it's just the beginning of the game where it goes off the rails sometimes.
Well, okay, so you know what, Kyle, I ask you this because you're kind of familiar more with Coach Johnson a little bit. You got to, Coach, is he capable of doing what Van Horn did? Is he capable of making some switches in this series and surprising Arkansas? Would that surprise you?
Not at all. I think that I think a lot of baseball coaches, I could say the same thing, just especially if you've got struggles in this or that particular area, you're coming off a series loss and you think you might need to make some changes. I would not put it past him. Now, I don't know how many times he's done that in his history. I mean, I've followed his whole career at Georgia, but I'm not that fine tuned with it. But it wouldn't shock me at all, especially when, you're at that back half, like I was saying a second ago, you get to that back half of the season, you maybe want to try something else different, see what sticks. So it wouldn't shock me at all.
Gotcha. What innings do you think is going to decide the series? The first, later, which innings do you think?
It's hard with what Arkansas showed last week. It's hard to say the eighth inning in particular, because you played 11 runs in the first 2 games in the 8th inning. And then you had the comeback run in the 8th inning for game 3 in the series finale against Alabama. So the 8th inning seems to be magic right now.
Well, let's hope it's there. God, I just hope we can keep those bats quiet for a little bit there. So what, Kyle, I ask you this, what is the most important matchup you think for this series, for the whole series? What's the one thing Arkansas has got to do? What's your opinion that what's the one thing Georgia might have to do to do? But for Arkansas, what is they can't cross this line or what's the one thing that that has to happen?
I think the biggest thing, you got to get on base. Georgia's going to get their hits. Arkansas just has, and Dave Van Horn's talked about it multiple times. Especially when Arkansas was struggling, they just needed to, the biggest thing was they needed to get guys on base because they've got speed. They're not afraid to run. It seems like they're running a little bit more than they normally do. Not that they've not stolen bases in the past, but I think if you just get on, because that's the thing, runs are going to be, you've got to score as many as you can. Obviously, that goes without saying in any game. But against an offense like Georgia's, in case you do get in a slugfest, it's all about like the Damian Ruiz's of the world, drawing walks. He just seems to be. Ryder Helfrich, I know, had a streak there where he was on base a lot. Pompey, Carter Rutenbar. Haven't mentioned Carter Rutenbar yet, but what an addition that he has been as a true freshman in that line. Whether he's at first base or whether he's in the outfield, I'm hoping that we can get some familiarity at first base. I'll say that before I say a little bit more. And the reason why is you want to have familiarity there, but the one thing about Pompey at this point is his defense is still a little bit of a liability. And I think, and most of those have been on 5-3 plays. He might just make a bad throw because he's used to a guy like Reese Robinette that maybe is a little bit taller. There's no excuse for an SEC third baseman to make some of the mistakes that he does. However, part of that might be because there has been familiarity. I think Rutenbar's played first in 7 games, and Robinette's been there mostly. But that Root's bat is going to be in the lineup, regardless if he's at right field or first or whatever. But back to what I was saying about just making sure that you get guys on base. That's the deal. Get on base, steal them if you need to. I mean, in 1 inning, they had a double steal in game 3 against Bama. So that's the biggest thing for me is get on base, get them moving around, score some runs, because against this Georgia offense, you're going to need, I feel like, as many as possible.
Right. And that's one thing we did. I think we need to use the speed we have because, look, we got a catcher that can leg out a triple. And, I mean, it was I ain't seen a catcher. I don't know if I've ever seen a catcher leg out a triple the way he did. I mean, he was running like a shortstop. It was amazing. So, Chris, I'm gonna come to you over there. What do you see that Georgia has to do? Has to this is the one thing we have to do to win this, to keep it close, to win more than one game, in your opinion, because you're all scared that that's all you're going to get.
Yeah. I mean, pitching. It just needs to let the bats do what they do. And on the bat thing, what I found most impressive this year with UGA and their bats is, for the first 2 years, it was pretty much home run or bust. That was it. Like it was just home run or bust. But this year's team is they're not. It's not just home runs. They're just a really good hitting team, I would say. But it is pitching. I would say just because you're going to have those moments in a baseball game where you don't hit, and the pitching's got to be there this weekend, especially on the road. And this is probably going to be. I know there ain't no probably. This is going to be a tough environment. I've seen that place at night. I think Thursday's a night game, right?
Thursday and Friday are prime time.
Yeah,
prime time.
So maybe we'll win Saturday.
Yeah, I think it's 6-7 and then 1, or it's either 6-7 or 7-6 and then 1.
It's 7-6.
We'll win Saturday night. We'll win Saturday.
It's 7-6 because it's 8 Eastern time here. But Chris, you to prove your point, I went through and looked at the teams in like Georgia. This just proves that Georgia they see ball, hit ball. Like I was looking at these stats and I'm like, they must be carrying cross ties up to hit the ball because no one in the top 10 in the SEC is from Georgia. Team wise, no, you're not even in the top 10 team wise strikeouts. Like, so you're clearly, if you're not hitting home runs, you're getting base hits or you're putting the ball in play. And that's scary. That's scary. So who's the one player, Kyle, that for Georgia that Arkansas needs to put a stop to? Like they got a couple.
Well, I mean
Phelps and Daniels, but
Phelps and Jackson. That's the first ones that you think of.
Jackson.
But then you look down the line. You got, Hudson's got 12 bombs. Branch has got 13. I'll tell you what. Like you look at some of the that's what's really impressive is not just their home runs, but just their slash lines in general. You got an OP. Phelps has got a 1.290 OPS. Jackson 1.258. There is just their slash lines are extremely impressive, and batting 324. Now overall that's batting 324. In conference play, I think it's more like 278. And then Arkansas, I think they're about 50 points higher. Arkansas is around like the 230 range. So it's hard. You would probably pick somebody like, it's easy to say the guy with like the most home runs, highest batting average. But then again, I feel like that there's been some guys in the middle of the order, like against Auburn, their cleanup hitter. I can't remember his name. He had a really big day, but I feel like guys in like the 4, 5, 6 hole has caused some problems for Arkansas, particularly in the SEC. So I'm kind of looking at that middle of the order, like that cleanup to the 5 hole to the 6 hole. That's where I'm going to be looking. Maybe somebody is like a dark horse possibly to do that.
Well, and to prove your point here in the home runs for the SEC, you got Jackson tied for second. Let's see here. You got Phelps tied for is in 6. You got Branch at 7, and then Hudson at 9. So you got 4 starters in the top 10 for home runs in the SEC here.
And Branch is only batting 160 in SEC play.
And that's crazy. That's crazy. But when he does hit the ball, apparently it goes deep. So let's see here. Overall batting, So for Georgia, and Georgia's ranked number 1. They got like you said, a 324 batting average. And Arkansas is at 11 at 275, like you were saying. So there's some disparity there. Now the pitching, there's about the same disparity pitching for Arkansas versus Georgia. So we're going to see what happens here. What is pitching going to win this? Or of course that's a big thing. Can we shut these bats down? That's the thing. With that being said, I do think, and Chris brought this up with the crowd at Baum Walker there, how how big can the crowd be, or how big will the crowd be in setting the tone for this, Kyle?
So I never wait this late, but I haven't checked the weather. Let me do so. That's going to be the biggest kicker. I think Thursday it's supposed to be pretty rough.
Ooh.
We'll see what it's. See, that's going to be the. I feel like if it's nice one day or not, that you're going to have probably anywhere from 8 to 9 at least. Just because again, you got former assistant coach and Arkansas native.
And Arkansas is averaging about 9,000. Their average for SEC is over 9,000.
Yeah,
come on, bad weather.
Yeah, and so and then so yeah, it looks like let me make sure I got Fayetteville, Arkansas here, but yeah, it looks like so Thursday is about a 40% chance of rain, but then the rest of the other 2 days are looking pretty nice. So yeah, it's looking like Thursday is going to be 42%, high of 80, and then a high of 82 on Friday, partly cloudy, and then partly cloudy on Saturday. So I feel like Friday and Saturday, you're probably going to, I'm going to say around 8 or 9 at least, maybe 10. By Saturday, especially maybe 10, just because it's a 1:00 game and people are going to be already out at the spring game is next week. Spring football game is next week. I'll be up at Fayetteville for one of the football scrimmages. But there'll be some excitement, especially if it's a rubber match on Saturday. I feel like that there could be maybe 10,000 people. Friday night, maybe about the same, but I feel like around 8 to 9,000 will probably be the average, kind of depending on what weather does on Thursday.
Well, look, I expect some people there. I literally spoke to a friend yesterday here, and look, I am in the extreme southeast Arkansas. I'm as opposite from Fayetteville as you can possibly get. I'm literally 8 minutes from the Mississippi line, about 20 minutes from the Louisiana line. And I can tell you right now of at least 7 people going up to Fayetteville for those games on Friday, Saturday. So there's going to be some people there. Now, Chris, let me ask you a question. Does Georgia's offense travel for this game here? How they been for their away games?
It has so far. Texas A&M it did, and who was the other one? I had it written down. I can't remember, but anyway, so far it has. Texas A&M it did, and everyone I've watched it's traveled. It's done a pretty good job. In the pitching.
Yeah, the pitching there. So Kyle, what do you think? I'm gonna put you on the spot here. Who gets humbled this weekend? Who do you think gets humbled this weekend? Is this where Georgia finally cools off and maybe they go down, or does this and Arkansas shoots up, or is this where Arkansas gets humbled here? Because I've already said I'm nervous for this series.
Yeah, I know I am too. I'm gonna say game 1 Arkansas. I think Dietz is gonna do enough in game 1. I feel like Georgia's gonna take game 2, and then give me Arkansas in a comeback win in game 3. I'll say comeback win. Now, I don't know how many runs it'll be, but a comeback win in one way or another.
Y'all heard it here first, people. Arkansas game 1, Georgia game 2, and a comeback on Saturday. There we go right there. So, all right. So, so that'll just make both of us have heart conditions over here. So that'll just make us nervous for the weekend here.
We already have the heart conditions. It was
exactly right.
Both of us do.
So, Kyle, who is this series more important for, Arkansas or Georgia, in the big scheme of things?
Well, I think Arkansas right now, just because Georgia's first are they first or second in the SEC right now. If Arkansas wins this series, they can continue to creep up and continue to boost that RPI. So I would
Georgia's
say
number 1.
They're number 1, yeah. So I would say right now it's Arkansas, just because they've had a big 5 games. They're on a 5-game streak. Yeah. Got a massive series sweep over a top 10 team on the road. But I would still say Arkansas, even though, Georgia lost the series last week. I would still say Arkansas as it stands right this second. If it was the next week, who knows what happens. But, right now I would say Arkansas a little bit has the edge there.
Well, I got caught on that last game in Georgia, and because I thought Georgia won that series at Florida. I did not know they lost that last game. Because I was actually impressed. I thought Georgia's pitching, they hung in there with Florida, and Florida's got some elite arms. I thought they did all right. they have some elite arms, and and then Arkansas went into Alabama and they did something they've never. I can't remember them.
That's never been done. Never swept them at.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, never swept them there in Alabama, and so I felt really good, and I was like, man, this is going to be one of those good games here. But if Arkansas pulls this off, do they become a top 10 team again? Do you think in the eyes of the voters, or does it validate that Alabama sweep?
I'll tell you, it would validate the Alabama sweep. Top 10 team, I wouldn't say no, because like I was saying earlier, reputation. And that's one thing with polls is the teams that have been consistent, they typically do get the favor there. So it would not shock me one bit if Arkansas does move, especially if they sweep, then it wouldn't shock me a single bit to get into the top 10. If they win the series, I'm going to say they're going to be no less. They'll be at least probably. And of course, you also have to factor in what other teams in the top 25 higher than them will do. I mean, if you get a bunch of teams that lose a series that are 15 and above, absolutely. But I will say if they sweep, at least they're going to be in that 11-12 range. I feel like probably.
Right. So I got a question for you, Chris, and then I'm going to ask the same question to Kyle, because I kind of got a feeling I know where you're going to go with. Is Georgia, in your opinion, are they Omaha ready, or are they still proving it?
Oh, oh man. I'm gonna say yes, they're Omaha ready.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
I do. I think the hitting's just top notch, but I don't think they're ready to go, win it. I think the pitching, needs to get a lot better, but I think they're Omaha ready though.
Kyle, the same question to you. Is Arkansas Omaha ready?
I would say not yet. They took a big step in the right direction, but you still got a lot of work to do. So right now, let's see, the Hawgs are at they're 8-7 in the SEC.
That's right. Yep.
I'd say they need to win about 8 more games to host, at least 7-8 more games to host. And then probably 5-6 more wins to at least advance to the postseason. Postseason being the NCAA tournament, not the SEC tournament, of course. So this weekend you could take a massive step in the right direction, of course, but I wouldn't say Omaha ready just yet. This was right now from what we've seen. I would probably say this is maybe a little bit more of a flash in the pan, just because one series is one series, and great series, very impressive what they were able to do, but I'm not quite ready to say Omaha yet.
I agree with you. Now, in your opinion, how do you feel about Georgia? Are they Omaha ready?
I would say they're definitely more than Arkansas, because I agree with the hitting. Sometimes the out slugging people can do. Now, winning a championship, no, I'm not ready to say that. But as far as maybe sneaking into Omaha, I would or maybe even just getting there possibly.
Yeah.
But yeah, pitching's got to, if they want to, make a deep run, pitching does have to improve. But yes, I would definitely put them ahead, and not just because they're ahead of Arkansas in the standings and they've had a better season and things like that. I think that their offense has just proven that.
Well, I go ahead.
Oh, well, I was going to say you two are more of the college baseball diehard. I've always loved Omaha in the tournament and all that. It's my favorite thing to watch every year. But as far as the Georgia baseball, we just haven't had nothing to root for so long. But I've always been told, I guess I'm asking y'all, I've always been told in order to win in Omaha, it's the pitching. And I think that's why I just can't. I'm with Kyle and what I said earlier. I just can't get there with winning it. But I do think they'll go to Omaha.
It's definitely about pitching for sure.
Right, and I agree. I say this what I told somebody yesterday about Georgia. Georgia, it could be Omaha bound, but they're going to be Omaha with flaws. Some of these teams, there's some teams out there that could really expose them. Really,
I want to say, I just as a Georgia fan that's been kind of not had anything to root for in baseball for a while. I just want to get to Omaha. That's it. We literally, my vacation every year that we do is usually on Omaha week. and I miss it because I'm like, whatever, Georgia's not in it. We literally planned our vacation around Omaha because that's what I'm expecting, like us to be in Omaha. So I'm like, I told my wife, I said, listen, we can go whenever, but just this week, don't let it happen.
Gotcha. So, so with that being said, if Arkansas wins this series, Kyle, you're around this, you know more about this. Do they jump into the national contender tier, or do they still got some things like if they? Let me rephrase that: if they handle Georgia handily, and they're that pitching of old, and everybody starts hitting that ball like they kind of play like they did at Alabama. Do people start looking at them under that microscope again?
I mean, I think you do. You get 2 top 5 series or top 10 at least series, and then the schedule's pretty favorable from there, Sean. I mean, you go to Missouri, you got Ole Miss at home, then you got OU at home, then you go to Kentucky. And obviously, look, you can't overlook anybody, but the schedule is favorable. You know, you don't have Texas on there, you don't have Texas A&M. And I know Texas lost there, but like you've got some teams that are very beatable after this. And so you got 3 more midweek games. Of course, next week you got Missouri. You got the rematch against Missouri State in Fayetteville. Then the next week you finish out your midweeks with a 2-game series against Northwestern State. After this, the schedule's very favorable. So I think so. And that's why I say if you get past Georgia, whether you win it or you sweep, this could be pretty exciting down the stretch.
That's what I like. That okay, I like that. So let me see. I had a question there for you that you were leading in, and I just totally went blank over here. I got to stop doing that. But so I had a question, and now I just went blank. Sorry, guys.
That happens.
I know, right? So you're talking about national. Okay, here was my question, because Kyle, you're way more dialed in than I am with even on the hill up there, but around the SEC. What team in the SEC right now? Now Georgia's number 1 here, 11-4 in the conference. Texas is behind them at 9-5. A&M behind them, and then Florida, Alabama. What team in the SEC right now do you think has the inside track making it to Omaha?
Man, well, I'll tell you, Georgia's up there. Just again, you think about their hitting. A&M's playing pretty well right now. And with Florida, I mean, you think about when you move that Florida moved around Aiden King and Liam Peterson. He flipped them in the rotation, and that seems to have worked wonders. So with their arms, I mean, they've got guys on the mound that are, when pound for pound, it's just about as probably better than anybody. Texas, when they're at their best, at least. Texas, I still do believe in. They've got some bullpen issues as well. Mississippi State has really fallen off. But then again, you think about Ole Miss in 2022, where they were at around this time. And so LSU's got loads of talent. LSU kind of sucks right now, but they've got loads of talent still. Can they make and that's the thing too, is just the teams that were struggling a few weeks ago are now seeming to make a jump, Arkansas being one of those. And so with what we're seeing right now, it's hard to discount like a Florida team when they've got the arms that they do now. Their shortstop is it Brendan Lawson? Last name's Lawson, that had a pretty good series against Arkansas. I know he's been, and that's the thing too. Florida's just been banged up with injuries.
Right.
They had so many injuries against Arkansas in the Arkansas series as it was, and so with Aiden King, Liam Peterson really leading things there on the mound, I feel like probably the best chance of any team. But like right now, it pains me to say Florida. I'm not a Florida fan. I'm not really an O'Sullivan kind of guy, but just with what they have on the mound, and then also with the offense that Georgia has and Texas A&M, like I said, they've been making some noise. Clayton Freshcorn has been awesome for Texas A&M. So it's baseball. You just never know. I mean, who knows what we could be talking about in a month. Last month, we were talking about totally different things and not just one or two teams. We were talking about different deals. And so right now, like I said, Florida, Texas, those teams with A&M maybe being a little bit of a dark horse. I say dark horse, even though they're playing really well, but it's just baseball. It depends on which way the wind's blowing.
Yeah, man, I'll tell you, that's one thing I've had to get used to. For the last this year, I've done a lot better, but I've treated baseball season like I do football season. where, you know, we live or die every Saturday because you only get 12 of them. And I was doing that for the first 2 years of Wes Johnson era. Like, you know, it was just an emotional roller coaster of like, you win, you go and you beat Arkansas or something. And then the next week you go and you lose some midweek and then lose a series to a team that's near the bottom or something. It took me a while to get used to the ebbs and flows of baseball.
Yeah.
Well, you know, yes, it does. And like you were just talking, Florida. Like Florida, their arms, they remind me of some of the elite arms Arkansas had at times, you know, in the past, you know. So with that being, you got number 13 Auburn at Florida. They start their game tomorrow. That has some implications. That it does, you know, if Florida takes that series, I think that may totally change their mindset, like you're saying, because they have elite arms, and I know Jamal's out there listening right now, but their pitching is downright scary. Let's see, Mississippi State and South Carolina. I'm trying to think. I'm looking at who we have. That's you got Alabama at Texas. That's another matchup.
That's going to be a
there.
good one. Yeah,
That's going to be a good one, and I'm curious to see how Alabama's going to rebound at Texas, because after what happened to them at home, I'm not sure you want to go down there to Austin and try to get things back right again. But
Hey,
we'll see how.
Can I ask? I don't want to get you off of, but what's happened with LSU?
We
lost his audio.
We lost your.
My bad. I thought that I unmuted myself. I unmuted. No, their bullpen is bad. I mean, it's like, I mean, think about did y'all see, I think it was game 3 against Tennessee. They were down 5-0 and they won like 16-8 or something like it was insane. But their pitching staff really is a mess. I get right. Maybe not just their bullpen. I mean, it's really just their pitching staff in general. You know, I don't know. I'm not necessarily surprised that LSU isn't the number 1 team in the country and number 1 in the SEC. I'm not particularly surprised about that because, again, baseball is baseball, but I did not see this coming. But then again, they could be that team that, here in the net, like take a series this week and rebound, and because they do have the talent. The talent it's still there, but.
You're absolutely right. And I'm sitting over here. Look, I'm over here looking at, I've never seen this. LSU is 3rd from the bottom of the standings, man. South Carolina and Missouri is below them. And they're at 6-9. And I think 23-15 overall. That's
I mean, that's the thing too. I mean, getting swept by Ole Miss. I mean, that's not. Look, and I know Mike Bianco's a good coach, but then and the Bethune-Cookman loss, I don't put a whole lot of, because Bethune-Cookman also beat Florida on Tuesday, and I don't ever take a whole lot of stock midweeks or midweeks. I don't.
I've learned that thing. Yeah, I've learned about that. Georgia
you can't. You can't take a whole lot of stock. I'm not saying that they don't, like, you can't judge them at all, but you can't take a whole. And Bethune-Cookman's good, guys. I mean, Bethune-Cookman is a good team. So
they're one of those teams you don't want to see in your regional bracket.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Yeah, they're like the old Dallas Baptists and stuff like that from back. You know, you don't want to see that team in your bracket for sure. So I'm going to have a question. So I'm going to start with Chris first. Chris, for Georgia to win this series, who has to be the MVP for the weekend for Georgia?
They haven't announced the starters, but I would say whoever's starting the pitching Thursday. I would whoever's the starters for Thursday and Friday. I think those would have to be the MVPs. If we're going to win the series, I think when we leave it, we're going to say it was because of the starters Thursday and Friday.
Gotcha. Kyle, on your end, if we win this, 2 things. If we do it like you say, we win the first game, lose on Thursday, win on Saturday, lose on Friday. Who's the MVP? If we sweep them and we do it handily, who's the MVP at that point?
Well, I think you got on the same lines as pitching. You got to have somebody other than Dietz really step. Like I said, McGuire and Gibbler were not bad in their starts, but ideally, at least one of those guys to go 5-6 innings. You need Dietz to go 5 or 6. Probably one of those guys to go 5 or 6. At the plate, I'm gonna say Carter Rutenbar. Just because he's still he's the leadoff. He's still a little bit of an X factor to me. He's got a good bat. He gets on base. He hits extra bases. He gets extra base hits. So I'm going to say, look, everybody knows who Ryder Helfrich is and all these older guys. Carter Rutenbar, I think, could continue to take a step in the right direction, and he could be kind of your offensive MVP. And I think that he's going to have another big week, just especially being in the leadoff spot.
Okay. All right. Chris. Oh, you already did that. All right. So
yeah.
one bold prediction, and I'm going to give a bold prediction here, and then I'm going to let y'all have your deal. I'm going to say TJ Pompey continues this streak, and I think he's going to be the MVP of this weekend for me. I don't know why. I just feel like that man has he's got his legs under him. He's running now. He's found some confidence, and he came with, if I'm not mistaken, he came with quite a bit of hype coming over from Texas Tech, and so my bold prediction is that Pompey lights it up. He keeps doing what he does, and this really sets his trajectory going on. Whichever one of y'all want to be next, what's your one bold prediction here, and we'll call her good after this, and we'll go from there.
I'll tell you, I'm going to say, so Zach Stewart was really good at the very beginning. He struggled quite a bit, actually. Now, again, depending on pitching matchups, will depend on who's in the lineup. But I think that he's going to, maybe not MVP, but I think Zach Stewart gets it going a little bit better. We maybe see a little bit more of that Zach Stewart that we saw towards the beginning of the season. He's got 50 home runs now. I think it is 51 career home runs.
Right.
So I think that you could see him step up. Right now he's batting 156 and he's slashing 156, 296, 244. So yeah, it's been bad in conference play. And he came from a mid-major, so not used to SEC pitching. But I'm going to say that he steps up a little bit, and maybe we see a little bit more of that Zach Stewart that we saw at the beginning of conference play.
All right. Chris, give me one bold prediction for this weekend. I told you I was going to put you on the spot.
Yeah, and I'm actually going to go a little different, not mentioning a player or anything. I'm going to say either Thursday or Friday. I think one of those games is going to be one of those games is going to be considered up to this point the best baseball game of the year. It'll be one of those wild 15-14 extra innings kind of game.
Okay.
I'm gonna say Thursday night. It's gonna be a wild, crazy game that's just gonna set the series off, and it's gonna be wild. Twitter will be blowing up. People will be like, "Are you watching this game?" It'll be like that.
All right, I like it. Now, this question calls for you, but it's to upset Chris over here. How long is it before Wes Johnson becomes the head coach of the Arkansas Razorbacks?
Hold on. No. Hold on. No. I've seen on Twitter, actually an Arkansas fan. No, y'all need to go get when old boy at the Giants gets fired or whatever. If that don't work out, just get Tony. Leave Wes the hell alone.
Oh.
You muted.
You're muted, Kyle.
I did it again. I think it's natural to. I'm good for at least one on my podcast. So I think it's natural for anybody to say Wes or anybody to say Tony because of the history there. It wouldn't shock me if, and some Razorback fans might not want to hear this, but it wouldn't shock me if it's like a Matt Hobbs, the pitching coach. If they promote him, he's been there since 2018. So it wouldn't shock me if they hire from within. Now, if Dave retires in 2 years or something or whatever, he's got 4 grandkids now. He's got triplets, and then I think the same daughter he's got 2 daughters. One of them has triplets, and I think the one that has triplets just had another baby. So he's got 4 grandkids from So probably going to have a few more grandkids as well, you would think. So at what point does he want to just focus on family and hang it up? I still think he's got at least 2 years in the tank, at least.
Right.
And by then, what will happen with Tony V? What will happen with Wes Johnson? So who knows? But I could see it being possibly some hiring from within, just because Arkansas. I know that Arkansas didn't have that national championship, but Arkansas has become one of those programs that is consistently consistent, as I was saying earlier, year in and year out, and a lot of times. And I'm not putting Arkansas baseball in the same category as like a Duke basket, but you think about they hired John Shire from within instead of when Coach K retired. And you think about all these other blue blood programs, like Georgia, when Kirby Smart or when Mark Richt got fired or whatever it was, they brought in Kirby Smart that didn't have head coaching experience, but he had elite defensive experience and coached under the greatest of all time. And you obviously know about this, Chris, played for Georgia as a Georgia guy. So I could see it being like, I mean, it wouldn't shock me totally if it was like a Wes Johnson or Tony Vitello, but I could see them promoting from within just to keep somebody on, because Bobby Wernis is another guy that's been on staff for a while and probably will be, but he's young. He's young still. Right. He's only like 30 or so, right. The third base coach and works with the catchers. And so I could see like a Matt Hobbs, someone getting promoted from within. It wouldn't shock me in the least bit.
Now, would that be? Go ahead,
just to make Pops mad, since he made me mad. When y'all beat us this weekend in the baseball series, that's okay, because September 19th we'll roll around. The Dogs will be coming
over under. How many times will that clip of Ryan Silverfield taking a shot at Georgia? How many times is that going to roll around on social media?
Right.
Actually, you just reminded me of that. Yeah, that's right. Yes.
Oh, now I got to hear this for the next for the rest of the summer.
You never saw it?
I've seen it. Yeah,
I haven't seen it, but now I haven't.
Ooh,
I've been. Well, first of all, I don't know when it happened because I've been moving for the last 3 weeks, y'all. So
it was September of last year. It was September of last year. He was talking. I can't remember exactly, but he was talking about a standard. Ryan Silverfield talks about standards a lot. And he said something. He was like, basically, for example, Georgia driving 90 miles an hour down the field, just randomly. Like, he took Kirby Smart's just probably over here drinking a beer, having a good night, and he catches a stray like out of nowhere, like on a press conference or whatever.
Random stray ever. I was like, what the
You don't do that as a head coach of Memphis, man. You don't do that as a head coach of Memphis. That comes full circle. But you got me just thinking a while ago because you gave your opinion. And with that being said, all our viewers out there, hey, I hope you're loving Chasing Omaha here, man. Look, and we are, if you're watching this, of course, you're on YouTube at College Sports Crew. If you're looking and seeing us on X at College Crew, hit that like over there. But come over to at College Sports Crew on YouTube and hit that subscribe button, man. That's what gets us out. And Kyle, man, if we're doing a good job, man, I know you got some people out there. Throw us out, man. Throw our name out there and let it. We can take all the help we can get trying to get our message out there.
And Kyle, and let people. I didn't even realize this till after the first appearance you came on here. You work at On 3, which I have a subscription. My guys Rusty and Jake over on the Dog Vault.
They do a great job.
And it gives me the ability because if you're on 3, you can go visit the other. So I happened to go visit the Arkansas site and realized I was like, oh wait, he works at On 3. So y'all, if you're an Arkansas fan, please sign up for Kyle's site at On 3. What's it called? Is it Hog?
So hogbeat.com. And so I appreciate that. And I think like you said, it's right now we've got a deal going to where it's half off for the year. So right now new members get a full year for $60, basically $5 a month. And that includes if you wanted to go to the Georgia site. We've got 80 fan sites, about 75, 80 fan sites on 3. And so you get access to all that plus all of the premium national content. So anything recruiting through Rivals, anything through On 3, there's a big deal is the basketball transfer portal right now, which by the way, thank you for Wilkinson. The guard, we're happy to get him.
All them 17 points average,
but got him. So we're really excited about that. But I mean, it's the best deal. And that also includes I think that also still, I know the previous promo that On 3 was running included a full year subscription to The Athletic. I'm not sure if that part is still going, but hey, $60, $5 a month gets you complete access to every. Now you can't post on all the message boards, only the site that you subscribe to, but you do have access to all the message boards and all the intel and everything on there. And so, it's the best deal out on the market right now.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I was literally on the Arkansas site because of the Wilkinson news, just angry looking at Arkansas fans being all happy and giddy, and I was like, this sucks.
Well, y'all, we sure appreciate. Honestly, Kyle, first I appreciate you being here. And guys, hey, look, if you like what you saw here with Kyle, if you're an Arkansas guy or girl, look, you can follow him on Twitter at K_Sutherland, capital AR, there on X, and hit him up. I mean, this guy he's dialed in. This guy's dialed in. Like he's your guy, and I'm gonna have you back on if you if we can one of these days.
Yeah.
I would love to talk some ladies softball. That's one thing we haven't hit, and I tell you what, there's some exciting stuff going on up there on the hill with softball and stuff. But I'd like to have you back, man. Maybe in a few weeks or whenever it's convenient for you. Let's talk ball, man. Let's talk some baseball and go from there. And everybody that's out there, man, we just hit our hour mark, and hey, we appreciate y'all taking the time and tuning in and watching the original Chasing Omaha. And we will see you again next Wednesday, same time, guys. We'll see you then.